Okay, so let's have a look at putting some new prices for bearings into the database. So this is the price utility, and we're going to use a spreadsheet to copy prices both into the price utility and into the Access database. So let's have a look at a spreadsheet. Now this spreadsheet contains a number of bearings. These are all with labyrinth seals. So I'm just going to focus on labyrinth seals at the moment. So we've got rollers, carbs, the two types of ball bearings. Now what I did is I added a factor calculation sheet. So I copied some of these bearings over from these previous spreadsheets with the new prices already entered there. So you see we've got rollers here, then carbs, etc. Now if we have a look at the way the prices utility works, or indeed the prices in Centrix works, we have these factors. So we've got the basic price for a bearing, which is here the cost price. So this is shown here, the base price, and then the adjusted price is the base price multiplied by a factor, and these factors are shown here. So for a self-aligning ball, we can see that's got with a 4 lip seal, there are some different, these should be all the same. I noticed there was an error when I started to work on this tutorial. So we'll look at this particular one, this 1-2 series ball, and we'll see that the factor IDs are always 2 until we get to a 4 lip seal, TSNL type, and then suddenly that changes to a factor of 5. And a factor ID of 5, it states here, is for a 600 ball. So really we should be using the factor of 2, which is what these other bearings with these seals use. So I'll just go down to this one. So it says factor 5. So in this selection grid, which combines the component IDs, we need to change that 5 to a 2. Okay, so now if I go off there and go back on, we see that it is now consistent with a factor of 2 all the way through these different seals. So that's the first fix. Alright, now let's move on to the spreadsheet. So I set the factor for the roller bearings to 1, which is consistent with the price utility. So if we look at spherical roller bearings, which is it's highlighted there, by the way, by the arrow at the top, not where I've highlighted it, we can see that it's used as a factor of 1. So the base price and the adjusted price are the same. So going back to our spreadsheet, so I said I want all those factors to be 1. Now the first thing I did here was to calculate the ratio of the carb bearing price to the same diameter roller bearing price, and that gave me a factor. So generally the carb bearings are 20% dearer. You'll notice this one's a bit cheaper for some obscure reason, and the others are similar. Some a bit higher, it's a little bit up and down, but it's all very similar. So what I did was I've got a suggested factor here. The suggested factor that I have used is just to reduce the number of entries. If you want to be precise, you can use these figures here, but you'd have more entries. So for the carb bearing, as you can see, I've used some color coding here. So for over shaft diameter 0 up to including shaft diameter, which is bearing diameter as well, shaft or bearing diameter, we've got a factor of 1.2, so that encompasses all those. And then we jump to 1.4 up to 70, then one back down to 1.3 for 75, then 1.2 again for 80, and then I've added a last row here because we always want to make sure that we can include a factor for any new bearings as big as we'll ever use. So I like to make this last row 1000 millimeters. So now all we need to do is to paste those or enter those into our price utility. So we can see that I've started to enter one here. Let's have a look. 3. Oh, I started to enter some here and notice that error. So now I've changed this a bit. So 3 to 60 is 1.2. Let's have a look what else I've got. I've got some other 3s down here. So I now need to be over 60 and up to 70, which is this figure here, and it is 1.4, that's correct. And then over 70, so this is all for factor ID 3, over 70 up to 75 is a factor of 1.3, and then over 75 to 80 is 1.2, and then over 80 to 1000 is 1.2. Now I've got an extra entry in here. That's 1.2. Now I've got too many entries, so 75. So that one needs to be deleted. Okay, so that's deleted, so that looks okay. Now this apply factor lights up, but we no need to worry too much about that at this stage. So that is entering them individually. So now if we go off there, actually what I'll do is I'll reload this, it will probably sort them better then. Okay, so let's have a look. SKF carb. $60 to $70, I've got $50, $60, $40 is still there, that's correct. 70 is 1.4. So we can see that the base price has been multiplied by this factor of 1.4 to give a price of 230. Now this doesn't match these prices yet because we need to update the base prices. But let's have a look at some more price entries.